Today I'm going to be showing you guys how I made this cosplay headpiece for Jessie from Team Rocket. To set realistic expectations for this video, this is a very difficult project, so don't get your hopes up thinking it's like a one-day project. I probably worked on this around 15 hours. I think the hair part was the most difficult, but I think it turned out really good. On the internet, I was only able to find one other person that's done this, and it was like in a different country, and they actually only had a half page, and it was like a blog post about how they actually made the hair. That being said, this is probably the most comprehensive tutorial on how to actually make it that is on the internet right now. Okay, so I just got done working out at the gym, and I have my mind so into this project right now that I just want to explain what I'm doing and what I'm trying to figure out step by step so that you guys won't have to. So the first thing that I have here, this is actually a sleeping bag pad that's blue and foamy, not even a half an inch thick. I just got this at Walmart for like $5, and because it's super lightweight, that's what I'm gonna try to use for the Jessie hair. I found out that the glue that I tried, none of it works except for hot glue, so we're gonna use hot glue today. But I'm gonna be using masking tape first, just to tie all the pieces together to make sure that it all fits in the right shape, and then I will glue it all together. Got my big old roll here. So the first piece that I'm gonna be making is the piece that goes on my hairline, right here, underneath the back of my hair. That's the measurement that we want first. So I'm gonna put this on like Marge Simpson. And if it goes over my ears, that's okay, because I just want it to go on my hairline. So it looks like it's going to be about to here. So I'm gonna slice the whole thing at that length. I'm cutting it right down the middle with that measurement. So now I've got that measurement. This is where it goes perfectly around my head. I did give it a little bit of extra, probably an inch extra, because I'm going to have this go over my head, but I will need space for my hair underneath, and my hair is not done up the way that it would be, probably in a few buns right on the back. So I want it to be more like hair. I'm gonna actually cut the whole thing at kind of a 45-degree angle, just to make it fit on my head more like hair. Yeah, that's already looking pretty good. I'm just doing it at a 45-degree angle. The whole reason that I'm redoing this, because I actually already have a headpiece right here. Ta-da! This is what we're making, right? I already have this headpiece, but the problem with this is it's made out of a milk jug on the inside and a cornucopia underneath. If you can see, this spot right here digs into my forehead, and it hurts so badly that it's not wearable. So this is the whole reason why I'm figuring out a better, lighter way that's going to be more comfortable for anybody to wear, and hopefully it will be easy enough that anybody can make it, right? So you can see it's more like hair in a way, because it's not got the horrible edge right there. Okay, I went over this whole thing a little bit more just to smooth it out so there wasn't so much of a ridge. Now what I'm doing is I'm folding it completely in half, and I'm gonna actually draw out where I want to make the first cut. So this is about the angle that I've done. If I put it straight, you can see it a little bit better. Thinner right here, about an inch and a half right here, and then down here it's probably about 4 or 5 inches. And I'm just gonna cut straight on that line, and that's gonna give us a small point at this top here, but it's also gonna make it so that it's starting to form the shape of the cornucopia. Now that I've got this piece, I've just taped it together and fitted it to my head, making sure that it's perfectly on my hairline and that everything fits really well. And it does, it fits really well. It's gonna cover my hair. If I have to, I can even pull it down a little bit and cut out a spot for my ears, and it can be in the right spot still and look really good and not show any of my hair. So for the main body of the cone, I actually am using a website. This is 3under3andmore.blogspot.com. This is the pattern that you use to make a cornucopia out of paper. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this as much as I can to be able to build the body of the cornucopia, and I'm just gonna eyeball it and see what happens. Somewhat. Alright, now that I've got these two cut out, I'm actually going to fold each of them in half and round out the top. and cut that so it's all rounded at the very top. So that's about where I need to cut it. I'm gonna do the same thing on both sides. Okay, so the next thing that I've done is taken this length and measured it. It ended up being 21 inches along this edge. And then I divided it by 7 so that I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the cutouts that I need. Again, I've just been looking at this pattern and eyeballing it. I'm making these marks on here and I'm just drawing out my marks in kind of a curved line. And then if you look at the pattern again, it actually does somewhat of a, so that's about the curve that we're looking at. And then what I'm going to do is the exact same thing but completely reversed on the other side. Now it's time for me to cut out the slices, the little pieces here. Okay, all right, we have our shape coming together now. I've got taping together the straight edge that does not have the cuts in it, and I'm gonna go down both sides. This is just temporary. I'm going to end up gluing it if I can get the right shape, but what this is about is just figuring out if I have the right shape or not yet. That's why it's the temporary taping. But I'm gonna tape it together and see how it looks. So this is my original headpiece that I made. A few things I did wrong the first time. Number one, I put a point right here that was super hard and all of the pressure ended up pushing on my forehead in that triangle right there. The whole weight of the thing was pulling right there. So I ended up with an indent in my forehead that hurt really bad. And the second thing I did was I wasn't worried when I made it about the weight of the headpiece, and it ended up being super heavy. It's because I used a lot of glue sticks. I put on an extra layer of the same colored material with the glue sticks, and then I glued, so I used a lot of glue sticks, so many glue sticks, and those add up when you're thinking about pressure on your head. So I'm gonna hopefully make a few changes and not use as many glue sticks this time around so that it will feel better and it won't be as heavy, and overall it will just feel really good. Alrighty, so this is where I'm at. I'm really excited because I feel like it's finally coming together really well. I have the two sides. I've taped up each of the individual slits on the sides, but I have not done the back because I tried to do it with tape and any tape just won't hold. So that's the one part I'm going to do for sure right now with the hot glue gun because I don't think I need to make any other adjustments to right there. So we're gonna glue down the back and then we're gonna see how the slits look. So for this next part, now that I've got this whole piece put together, glued down the middle, we're gonna actually push it together and start forming it to see if it's looking a lot like our original, which is what we want it to look like. So as I'm comparing these two, I'm noticing that this spot right here is not as curved as this spot is on here. So that means I need to slice out a little bit more on a few of these cuts, and that's gonna give us a little bit more of a curve. I'm gonna take the tape off of these bottom three, and on each of these bottom three, I'm gonna cut off a little bit more, probably about 1/4 of an inch. Just got to make these slices a little bit bigger so that they will have more of a curve to them. Whatever I do on one side, I have to do on the other to make sure that they are completely even and that they line up the right way. Now I'm taking my tape and I'm taping it up again so that I can see at how much of an angle it is now. I think it's looking better already. Ooh, yeah! Woo, that's looking so good! As we do this, it's really gonna give me an idea of what things I need to adjust and how I need to change it. And I'm just gonna do little changes here and there until it's perfect just the way I want it. So I'm just gonna show you that process in a little bit of a sped up time lapse. And then hopefully you guys will be able to kind of see a little bit of how I do this. Woohoo! So here's my original here, and here's the other one next to it. So you can see that it's really starting to come together very, very well. I think I just need a little bit more of a curve here. I'm gonna add in a little bit of wire at the tail end, and that will give me the curve that I need. I'm comparing these two, and it looks like right here is where my neck ends, And so I'm needing to kind of bring it into that point right here. So I'm just comparing them so you can see that this is about how it's gonna look. So I'm just making a couple marks on this and kind of adjusting it where I want my neck to go. So about right here is actually where I'm gonna cut it to for my neck to fit into it the right way. I'm just gonna make what looks like a little square, and this is gonna fit my neck into it. Try and make it even on both sides. Then I'm gonna cut it out. And then I actually think it's a little bit too thick. Just make an adjustment right here. Will just be the right thinness for my head. Now that I made that little cut for the neck, I'm actually gonna just even it out with the top. So I'm just gonna go ahead and slice that. In a straight line all the way up to the top. All the way up to the top of the phone. And I'm gonna do the exact same thing on this side right here. Just like that. So that's where I want my head to rest, is right on this spot right here. I want this part right here to rest on the back of my neck, right there. Here's my old one. I'm just trying to figure out what angle I want it to go down at. Okay, so let's see how much space. I need another piece to fit in right there. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of mess around with pieces of foam and see if I can get it. And whatever you do, if you cut something, make sure to try and even it out perfectly on both sides so that it's not making it loppy or floppy, so that it's not making it lopsided or anything. Okay, let's see. Let's see if that will fit how we need it to. Okay. I'm just glad I'm getting somewhere. Okay, all right, so the piece that I put in after making the cornucopia and setting it together, the next piece that I put in is kind of a long, it's like this shape. So it comes to a point, and then it's kind of a rectangle, and then it comes to another point. So kind of two triangles, a rectangle in the middle. That's the kind of shape all together that I put in there. I'm getting closer to having the right kind. I just kind of need to make sure that it does the front piece really well, fits in there. This is what I've got. I've tried it on a few times. Here's my front piece that is going to be right around the front of my head that I showed you guys first. I'm just gonna put that on like I would if I was wearing it. Next, I have this piece right here, and I'm still not quite at a point where they're connected. So what I need is a piece like this. So this piece kind of has some cuts on it, and I'm gonna actually take it and put it, it's gonna fit right there, and then I'm gonna glue it around the edge, just like that. Because it needs just a little bit longer of a piece. It's just gotta fill in that gap and kind of build the head up still. You can see I have this piece right here, and I'm just gonna push it up against there and draw a line right where it needs to be cut. And then I will have the right angle. We're getting closer. Now it's time to try and see if we're getting about the right angle here with everything. So I haven't glued any of this together. That's why it's got all the tape on it, just because I want to really make sure that everything is the right angles and looks correct before I go ahead and glue everything together. Does that look about right? Okay, it looks like we're probably at a point where I can start putting it together. I just need to put my hair in a bun, and then I won't have to worry about it all the time. So really, all that I've been doing is trying it on and taking it off and making a small adjustment, and then trying it on, taking it off, and making another small adjustment. It's a long process. I mean, you could do it in a day. I'm almost done, and I've only been doing it for, at least with building just the form of it, I'm almost done, and I've only been doing it for like 2 or 3 hours. So it's not impossible. You might be able to do it all in a day. Okay, so I'm making sure that the tape is on the back of my neck. I probably need to make a couple marks for my ears so that I can actually have it rest on my ears a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna take it off and cut out the ears. I'm just making little round cuts right there. If there was somebody that could draw your ears, like the shape of your ears on it, that would probably be more helpful. But because I'm just doing it by myself, a little bit more difficult, but you'll get it. Now I've got those 2 little slits. We're gonna try it on again. see if it fits right. And you can see it's already starting to look better just because it's got little spots for my ears. This one fits a little bit better, so I'm gonna try and make this one fit the same way. It's the right shape for my head and it's resting on my ears really well. So this is how I work normally. If I didn't have to explain everything to you guys, I would be doing this a lot more. It's less confusing to me, but I wanted to show you guys the whole process of how I do these types of things that are kind of crazy and fun, but that feels really nice. Or you can just make this cute headband. So we are needing to have a little bit of foam right in the front that will make it into a point. I'm just gonna try and add that in right here. I want it to look very even. So what I'm doing here is I'm slicing just like we did. I'm doing the exact same thing but opposite, so that it's actually gonna lay on the part right there and lay pretty flat. I think it's looking good already. I love it. Woohoo! I cut it at a slant right here, so that's gonna match up really well with the rest of the foam. And then I also cut it at a slant right here because I don't want it to look too poofy, outy. I want it to stay the same as the rest of the headpiece right there. So I'm gonna do the same thing that I did to the rest of it. So I have folded this headpiece perfectly in half and made a mark so that you can see exactly where the middle of the head is, so that we can put this point right in the perfect spot. I also folded that in half and did the exact same thing. So now we're gonna put a little bit of glue down and put them together, matching up the markings here. I'm noticing that it's going down pretty far on my forehead. I don't want to look like this. I want it to look like hair, but I also need it to be covering, I need it to be down far enough to cover my ears here. So I'm gonna actually carve away just a little bit right here and kind of make it look even on both sides. I think that looks about right. And then when I take it off, I'll make sure that it's even on both sides too. But then once I'm done with that, hopefully it will show a little bit more of my forehead, and I can even carve away a little bit of the point if I need to. Makes it a little bit more round. Oh yeah, I think that looks better already. Okay, so I think we're finally at a point where I can start actually gluing it together. So I'm gonna kind of undo it from the tape, and then just like I did with the hot glue on this edge, I'm gonna do that to the whole thing so that it's really sturdy and all put together the right way. I've pretty much got the shape of it down. I just have made a few minor adjustments. Here's this piece, and then I'm gonna put this piece on over it. And that's about how my hair is looking now. The problem that I see is that this part right here is going up too high. It's not really smooth like the rest of everything. It's kind of like it comes to a point right there, and I don't want that. Because it comes to a point, I've actually made some marks. I've gone 1 inch from here and 1 inch from here from the highest point. Kind of brought it down to about halfway from this point to the middle point. So I'm just trying to make it even on both sides the easiest way that I can. I'm gonna cut this whole part out and put in a flat part so that hopefully it won't pop up so much right there. Now the piece that I just cut out, I'm actually gonna lay over the top of some more foam and cut out just a flat piece so that it's not so puffy right there. Okay, welcome to the video, Brian! Okay, I'm gonna put this headpiece on and then I'm gonna ask for his help. What I really want to make sure that I don't mess up on is the lineup of the very middle of this line right here and this line right here. So I just want to make sure that that's perfectly lined up, and then we can make a few more adjustments that he's gonna help me with because I can't mark it when it's on my head. Okay, Pokemon! All right, ready?
Yes.
This part right here needs to be resting on my neck to make the right shape. So I just need his help marking a few things so that we can cut a few things and glue it where it needs to be glued. Are you lining up? Can you line up the middle?
That is correct.
And I'm holding it together.
Yep, hold it in place. You may have a little bit of black on your hair.
I've always wanted black hair. Does that look like the right shape, guys? This is the mark that he came up with. I'm just gonna even it out a little bit more. Gonna cut that where it needs to be cut, and then we're gonna see if we can glue it together. So that's the shape that I just got. It's very, very thin down here, very thick up here where it goes over my forehead. It's a perfect crown. Okay, let's see if it matches up. I'm excited.
Oh, you almost impaled me.
What do you think? Does it look pretty good? Does it rest on my neck the right way? Okay, I think we're almost done with the shape. That's how it it is. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like, yeah. Okay, time to glue it together some more. For some reason, as I'm starting to glue this together, I'm just starting to get so excited. This is the exciting part because thinking about something kind of stresses me out, trying to figure out how to make it, but then when I finally figure out a way, it's so exciting! It's so exciting! This part is really important. I'm just making sure to match up the glue and the lines here with the lines. I want everything to be perfect. Okay guys, are you ready to see this? I've been gluing and gluing it, and I'm making sure to like hold it until it's completely cooled from the hot glue, because if you don't, then it's going to expand because there's a lot of pressure, because this material is not normally supposed to be stretched in all sorts of ways, and so it will come apart if you don't let it cool completely before letting it go. This is what I got so far! So I have made a few adjustments. The headpiece itself, when I put it on, was a little bit too loose, so I just went right here on the line and made a small triangle cut, took out the triangle, pulled the pieces together and glued it, and that made it tight enough to fit on my head really well. So the next thing that I did was I added a little bit of a rest. This is going to go on my neck. So this is gonna like hit into my neck a little bit, because otherwise it would just start falling down, if that makes any sense. Let me put it on and show you. Now that I've added a little bit of a rectangle here, it's helping to rest on my neck a little bit so that it's not gonna fall off and pull down this part right here, because otherwise it would just fall. So I've really got to like custom fit it to my head. That little rest right there is very helpful and important. So I have glued together all the way up to right here. These are the last 3 slits, 1, 2, and 3. From here, I actually need to put in the wire for the bottom of the hair first. So what I've done is I've just gotten some pretty thick wire. You can see how thick it is. When I try to bend it, it's like a hanger wire, maybe a little bit more pliable than a hanger wire. So I've taken a small piece, a long triangle of foam, and I've poked it through almost like a skewer in a hot dog. Just poked it straight through to the top and gone really slowly as I've gone. And now what I can do is I can curl it to the shape that I want the bottom of the hair to have. So just like that, and it's pretty nice because if it gets bumped or messed with or whatever, you can just fix it, and it's very easy just to bend the wire back to where it needs to be. And then I have about, I don't know, 7 inches more, and this part right here is going to be glued into the bottom of our hair. Ooh, it's looking really good. Now that I've got that part right here, the foam on foam glued together, I'm gonna take the wire, and underneath it, right on the ridge of the very top of the hair, I'm gonna put a bunch of hot glue. That's gonna glue down the rest of our wire. By the way, I am using a low heat hot glue gun. So it has the option of using low or high, and you have to use low or else it will burn your styrofoam. It won't be very cool. I put a little piece of foam, just a little rectangle of foam over the top of it to help kind of solidify it in its place right there. And now I can start finishing off the end here. And you do need to start at this end because it's going to be impossible to get all the way in there with your hot glue gun or with your fingers. Once you seal these up, then it's going to be really hard to get all the way down there, you know what I mean? So we're gonna start with this one first. The greatest thing about this cool hot glue gun is that it's not gonna burn you. Maybe at very first, when you first put it out, it might burn you, but otherwise it probably won't burn you because it cools off really fast. Guess what? I finished it! Check that out. I just finished gluing it all together late last night. This part was probably the hardest to glue together because there was so much pressure. You can even kind of see that there's like tension right here on the foam. That's because I was pulling it so tight to glue it together, and even still it came apart somewhat, so I just filled it in with glue. So we'll be painting the whole thing next. But I think it looks amazing! I think it looks so good, I love it. Let's paint it. So some of you may be wondering, well, well, why do you have to paint it? Because you're just gonna put hair over the top of it. Well, I'm going to paint it so that, because this is such a stark contrast from the purple hair or the reddish hair, so that if any of it shows from underneath by any chance, it's not gonna look terrible and you'll be able to see the blue through. So we're just gonna paint it all. I'm using Folk Art Cardinal Red. So far I just have one of these. We'll see if this one thing covers the whole head. As I'm putting it on, I'm realizing it does not need to be perfect. It just needs to pretty much change the color of the headpiece. Also, it takes a really long time to dry on this foam, so spread it as thin as you can. I just got this wig out of the packaging. I haven't even opened it up yet, but I want to try it on.
Wow!
Peekaboo bang. Da, 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 da. This is probably the most nervous I am for the whole project, because everything else has come together pretty smoothly, but I haven't really tested this out extensively yet, so we'll see what happens. So I'm starting it out with a little bit of Elmer's glue in a bowl. This thing is left over from making slime. We've made a lot of slime in our day. Now I just have some little rubber bands, and I have this on the end of a chair. If you wanted to see, like, this is the back of the head, here's the front. And how I'm starting it is by taking a little bit of hair and separating it and kind of combing through it to make it so that it's not tangled. And then I have my little rubber bands that I'm just gonna put as close to the top of the wig as I can so that I won't cut any other hair when I separate it. I actually put 2 rubber bands on both of these right here just to give it a little bit more stability, just in case one of these rubber bands breaks, or just in case something happens, so that we have it double attached and it won't go everywhere. So I'm just gonna cut right above the second one. So now comes the part where you attach the hair. This can get a little hairy. Literally. I'm putting some Elmer's glue. I pretty much painted Elmer's glue on the section that I want to do. I took the hair, I brushed it out, I put hot glue on one side of a little strip of red felt, and then I put the hair on top of that and sandwiched it with another felt with hot glue on it. And then it kind of held the hair stretched out so I don't have to like brush it into a thin layer. So here it is, sandwiched between 2 pieces of felt, brushed into a kind of single line, and I got as much thick hair off the wig as I could on that. I'm just gonna put some hot glue on it. I'm trying to use as little hot glue as possible because even just a few glue sticks adds up to weight on my head. So now I'm gonna take that hair, overlap it on the inside, and because it already has glue on the one side, I'm just gonna put some glue on this side now. I know this is weird, but it's like I'm painting it on with my fingers all along the way, trying not to get the hair out of its perfect line. So I'm kind of almost brushing it with my fingers as I go to keep it as straight as possible. In order to get the hair to stay in the exact right place on this little triangle, I'm actually going to take it and overlap it just like you would if you were folding a present. So over the top of the corner. Put it on the back right here with a little bit of felt. I just grabbed a section. You can see I just grabbed a section with the hair. Draw some lines with the hot glue gun because I don't want it to go the opposite way, the opposite direction of the hair. I want it to go along with the hair, and that's pretty close to what I want. All right, guys, it is coming along. So you can kind of see I've overlapped the hair. I took some, glued it on the inside and pulled it out this way, and then the exact same thing underneath that one. The hard thing about this is that as you go, you can't just make it go straight, kind of like her hair is in the video. You have to kind of curve with the rest of the head piece, because otherwise if you tried to go straight right here, it would work pretty good, but then if you tried to go straight right here, it would end up pulling up and only being attached right here and right here, if you know what I mean. Unless you glued it down really hard along the whole thing, that would be probably the only way to make it stay flat. And even then, it might not even work. So that's the reason I've kind of been going with the flow of the headpiece. So if I pull it up, then it naturally just kind of goes around. That's what's working for me. So I'm just gonna keep adding strands here and there until hopefully the whole thing will be covered. Oh, I forgot I had this thing on my head. I completely forgot. That's so I can try it on in a moment's notice. notice. Okay, I'm at a point now with the hair that I think I figured out exactly what's working to make it look really, really good. So this is like the best way so far. Hopefully I'll save you guys a little bit of time in trying to figure out what goes where and what works best. So this is what I figured out. This is what's working best for sure. I've started to just wrap the hair around. This actually has a little black rubber band on it. And now I'm about right here with my hair. You can see the tail end of it right here. And I just need to keep wrapping around as much as I can, because to finish it off, I need to bring this back over the top of it. I might just put a whole nother layer over the top of this one, because once it's all wrapped, it will have a few strands that just go over the top, and then we're gonna be done. So I think that's the best way that I've figured out to cover the whole thing. And so I'm just gonna keep wrapping it. I'm finally done putting all of the hair on. I'm getting ready to try it on for the first time. But I just wanted to tell you guys a couple more things, finishing off things that I figured out in the pattern that I kind of used for putting the hair together. So down here, I put some hair glued down in here, and then I just pulled it up. And this was actually short hair. I used just short hair. And then I left it kind of sticking out, but it's underneath this one that I just covered it up with. So I tried to do a circular motion all the way up, covering with the hair all the way up to here. And then once I was done doing that, because you have to make sure you're done doing that before you do this part, which is gluing it in here and pulling it up and over this way and this way. And that's mostly how I put it together. Now I'm gonna try it on. And I'm actually a little bit nervous because this is adding a lot more pressure on the inside. It will for my head, so we'll just have to try it on and see if it's gonna fit my head or not. But let's try it on. And actually, let's hairspray it first. I told you guys I used Elmer's glue to kind of paint down the edges. I used Elmer's glue like right here, and so that Elmer's glue is not as white or visible as the hot glue. That's why I wanted to use that instead. Alright, I hope that it's not too tight on my head. It's too tight. So I am literally taking scissors to it because it's foam and it's all glued together in one piece, cutting the back. And hot glue all of this extra hair down to make sure that it's going to stay in the right place. But at least it will have a little bit of give so that when I put it on my head, it will stay. Take two. I just took out all of those weird tabs that were in there like this. They were pushing it so far that it was actually making it go like that out on my forehead, and I don't like that. I do not want it to look terrible after all the work that I put into it. So now I'm gonna try it on again and see if it worked. Stay tuned because we will be putting up some easy to make Team Rocket jackets to go along with the hairpiece. Thank you for watching. Make sure to check out my latest Pins and Things video over here.
And over here, you can see the beach house, which has me in it.
Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
And don't forget to subscribe. Looks like Team Rocket is blasting off again!
Prepare for trouble.
Make it double.
Ow! It was so
double trouble.
calm.